I don't need to say too much about the first piece. We hope you enjoy it. Would you believe that many of these students were in our 7th grade beginning band just last year? Amazing. Every spring, I like to pick kind of movie music and film scores for our spring concert. The kids get an opportunity to play themes and music that we all know, and I feel like film scores and movie music has a way of connecting us because many of us see the same images. We've seen the same thing on screen, and so we can experience the music in a similar way. Our next piece and selection is from a movie called How to Train Your Dragon. I'm noticing quite a few people standing off to the side. There's plenty of chairs here if we want to come and have a seat. There's a couple in the center area here. Come on in and have the seat. If you'd like. We thanked some of our arts professionals earlier, and we'd like to thank some of our teachers who are helping to volunteer, supervise. We want to thank our administration, our assistant principal, Mrs. Kalini, Mr. Dorosky, our principal, Mrs. Lee, for their support in our program, for seeing a lot of value in the arts, and for continuing to support our students in what they need. We're about to play our last piece, and you'd be surprised. How many of you have seen a cowboy country western movie before? Yeah, most students have not. Most people have not. It's kind of like a lost sort of film genre, and that really American sort of like a Copeland sort of sound is not something that our students are super familiar with. And so I decided to pick a medley of the Wild Westerns for our last selection. Thank you again for supporting your students, for being here. Once we finish our piece, we're going to get the jazz ensemble on stage, so please continue to stick around. This is the Wild Westerns. I have to announce a couple of soloists. So we're going to feature Ivy Marquez on flute. And Caleb Lopez on trumpet.